We're all trying to change. We're all trying to transform part of our life. We're trying to become something greater than what we are now. But we seem to battle this version of ourselves, the existing version of ourselves, our subconscious mind, in attempts to break that part of ourselves, and in an attempt to rewire our thoughts, our behaviors, our patterns and habits. And the number one way in which we can change that is through changing this thing right here, your environment. And I'm somebody that's very spiritual. I've done meditations, I've done visualization, I've done all of these things. But the easiest way for any single human being to change is by being purposeful with changing your environment, right? And that isn't to neglect the work of meditation. That isn't to shit on manifestation. I truly believe in those things. But those things require an internal shift. And then what happens is the internal shift will then lead to your outer world changing. That's the way in which these things work, isn't it? You change your inner state. If any of you have watched any manifestation content, any Joe Dispenza, any Neuro Knowledge, all great content creators, you will know that Neville Goddard, the founder of all of this, you'll know that to change your outer reality, you have to change your inner state. However, it is very, very difficult to constantly be changing your inner state when your outer state is replaying to you the old patterns and behaviors and world and life in which you have experienced. And I truly believe that the way in which we truly manifest anything is by actually cultivating our world to work for us, right? And the number one way to do that is your environment. And what actually consists of your environment? Because you're probably thinking, oh, environment, that just means forest, nature. Like, your environment is everything that surrounds you and everything that becomes an input to you. You've got to remember that everything within your life is constantly feeding your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is responsible for your thought patterns, your behaviors, your subconscious actions, the actions which you don't even know which you're taking. Therefore, it actually governs 95% of the actions that we take day to day that we're unaware of. And we know that if we can reprogram that subconscious mind, we can quite literally reprogram our reality. And environment, what does this actually consist of? Like, what are the parts of our environment in which we're going to have to change in order to change who we are? Before I get into that, I've got a Red Bull, okay? The Red Bull. You know what it's like when you have a carbonated drink and makes you a little bit gassy. Before we work out how to change these parts of our environment, which I'm going to mention to you, you need to get crystal clear about what it is you're trying to change to, right? Because all your life, you've likely had your environment by luck or by someone else's desire chosen for you. Think about the area in which you grew up in. You had no choice in that. That, in turn, manifested all the kind of relationships you had in your life, your viewpoint on the world, your experience. All of these different things were manufactured simply by where you were born, right? Your interests, your hobbies, your vices have all been also predetermined by the people in which have been naturally drawn to your environment and therefore spent the most amount of time with, right? If you grow up in a town where there is 5 pubs and no gym or no healthy places to eat, it's very likely that you become an alcoholic. If you are in a workplace in which 95% of that workplace smoke, I can guarantee you're going to be a smoker. So we've had all of these things pre-selected for us. Another one for an example, right? You likely support maybe a football team, you follow a football team, but that's only because that was a team in which maybe your dad supported or someone in your family supported. Therefore, you've subconsciously grown up to be a supporter of this team. Do you see how influential this is in your life? This is no wish-wash. This is simply just how you've been constructed and programmed as a human being. It's been through the subconscious choices in which have been around you in your environment. So we know that if we can change your environment, we can change you. Okay, so first thing, like I said, get crystal clear on what it is that you're trying to change for. What is the version of yourself that you want to become? Why is it you're doing it? What does that life look like? And then what you can start to do is manufacture your environment to be in line with that version of you which you want to become, right? So going through the categories, right? You've got your digital, you've got your physical, you've got your social, and you've also got your spiritual. And by changing and realigning these different environments within our life, that's how we're really going to change how our life manifests itself, right? Because if your digital world is showing you one thing, but your physical world is showing you another, that's naturally going to be altering different parts of your mind, your subconscious mind, and therefore program your thoughts, behaviors, and actions and beliefs in line with those different things. So if we can align every single one of these things with the goal in which we're working towards, we are going to change our life very, very quickly. You know, and just to show you the significance of this, we've all started in a workplace where there's been like a weird culture or a way of doing things. You know, maybe you've been in a hard working environment and a hard working kind of office life. That in turn has led you to work harder very, very quickly, right? But then you possibly have been in an environment where people don't work as hard, you know, and people naturally slag off the company, or you know, everyone has a certain viewpoint, and you've likely started to adopt that as well, very, very quickly as well. And that was unintentional. If we can intentionally change these parts of our reality, we can eventually in turn change the way in which that manifests within itself in your experience. So digital, right? This is an easy one for every single one of you to do. What does your digital environment look like, and how can we change and alter that in order to change your life, right? Because right now, your social media feed has likely been determined by the rules in which other people have sent you. You know, people have probably sent you, you know what it's like. We've all been on a doom scroll, right? And your friend has sent you a meme, and then all of a sudden you're scrolling for hours through Jew, anti-Semitic, I hate Jew videos, right? Maybe that's just me. You've been scrolling through content that's done that. That's in turn rewired your subconscious mind. Your algorithm has changed and now throwing more anti-Jew videos your way. Therefore, your belief over time will be, I don't like Jews, okay? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just stating a trend. Digital is also several other things. It could be the music you listen to, the podcasts in which you involve yourself in. It might even be your online relationships, right? Because we all have like those weird internet friends who like we've connected and bonded over something. If we can alter our digital environment to be in line with the life in which we want, it's going to make that process so much easier, because you'll probably notice that when you become interested in a hobby or something, naturally your social media is tailored to that more and more so over time, right? You probably got into health and fitness, and all of a sudden every 2 scrolls there's something to do with somebody in the gym. Or you've got into your baking, and all of a sudden every single swipe is a recipe. And that is allowing your mind to take in information related to a thing which you're interested in. If we tailor these things to be in line with the life in which we want, you're going to be constantly feeding your brain that information that's going to reinforce your self-concept, reinforce your subconscious mind. And as a result, you're naturally going to be working in line with those things in which you want that to look like, right? So your social media. Let's say you are overweight and you want to lose that weight, and your social media feed currently looks like, you know, all of these different fast food challenges. Do you really think that's conducive to getting you to where you want to get to? Absolutely not. So what you want to do is go through your social media feed, unfollow every single bullshit account that is aligned to being overweight, and replace them with fitness influencers, healthy recipes, lifestyle and holistic tips, maybe following pages that promote positive thinking, you know, understanding philosophy a little bit more. Those things, maybe follow some run clubs, follow people local to you that are that have the body which you like, which are doing positive things with the community for health and fitness. By following those pages and unfollowing the ones which aren't conducive towards the version of you which you want to become, you are far, far more likely to become that version of yourself, right? Music, again, this is a fantastic one, right? Emo girls listen to emo music, and then they start dressing black hair, start getting piercings, tattoos, they've got these black lines around their eyes. I don't know what that makeup looks like. And that's because they listen to emo music, so therefore they act like and dress like an emo. Or a goth. I think I'm describing a goth, to be fair. But do you see, music's a very careful one, right? I started listening to country music a few years ago. I've got a moustache and a mullet. There's probably an alignment with the fact that I've got a moustache and a mullet and I listen to country, okay? Music's a big choice. Listen to higher frequency music. Listen to music where it makes you feel good, right? None of this fucking bullshit. This is why I hate a lot of modern rap music, because it's very depressing. Listening to sad songs all the time. You know, songs about heartbreak when you've just gone through a breakup. That's not conducive to getting you to a better place, is it? Podcast. So listen to some healthy related podcasts towards the goal in which you want to listen to. Naturally, they will then be throwing more at you recommended on the topic in which you've been watching. And online relationships. If you've got these weird online relationships which aren't serving the version of you which you want to become, why the fuck are you still getting involved in them? Because they are actively working to keep you as your old self and not rewire yourself into the version of you you want to become, right? Physical. This is my favorite one because this is a very practical thing in which you can do to change your life. Okay. Your physical environments are actively keeping you as the version of you that you are right now. And the fastest way in which you can change your behavior is change the physical environments in which you put yourself in, right? And this is one thing that I say to people that I work with, right? You want to change your body. You want to become maybe not a bodybuilder, but you quite like that look. You maybe want to become an athlete. You want to become a scholar. You want to be more intelligent, right? If you keep putting yourselves in environments which aren't conducive to that, you're going to mirror that behavior. Because as human beings, what we naturally do is we like to conform in the groups we're in, right? We like to fit in. Therefore, if all the behavior around us is a certain way, we are going to embody that behavior. So if we change our physical realities to be in line with the future version of which we want to become and align that with the sort of places in which that version of you would hang out in, you're going to bridge that gap between who you want to be and that version of you, right? So physical, right? What gym do you go to? If you want to become a bodybuilder, you're not going to be going to your local leisure centre, are you? And this is, I love telling people like this story because I used to be skinny, like so skinny. I used to be 9 stone, I'm 6'1". That's like a rake, right? And about 1 year into my lifting, I moved to a bodybuilding gym. It was no surprise then 3 to 4 years later, I competed in a bodybuilding show. I think my life would have gone very differently if I had signed up to a local leisure centre gym or like a 24/7 Pure Gym or a JD Gym or one of those commercialised gyms. My life would have gone very differently. And that wasn't something that I actually was aware of and conscious of at the time, but looking back, that certainly led me down the road in which I went into, and I probably wouldn't be stood in front of you right now had I not put myself in that environment. Unwillingly, but it did serve me towards the version of me that I wanted to become, right? So what gym are you going to? You know, is that a bodybuilding gym? If you want to become a bodybuilder, be around bodybuilding gyms, be around bodybuilders. Where do you eat? What restaurants do you eat at? Do you go to fast food restaurants? You're very likely going to be fat. Coffee shops, where do you go for coffee? Are there local people doing the same sort of thing as you within that physical environment? What else have I got written down? I've got some notes. Clubs, right? If you want to become a runner, join a run club. The fastest way to get you into the habit and actions of being a runner is to be surrounded by other runners. To find those other runners, put yourself in run clubs. It bridges that gap, right? Physical environments as well, workplaces. We can branch out a little bit. What does your workspace look like? You know, who are the people that you work with? What are your fucking colleagues? I mean, that's closer to the social, which we'll dive into. But workspace in general, are you working at a messy desk? Are you working in an environment which isn't very inspiring, that is aligned with the previous version of you which you want to outgrow? That's very likely the case. So change it. Change where you work. Well, I've got some other examples written down here. Do you know what? One of my favorite things in which you can do within your physical environments is change your fashion, right? When you change the way in which you dress, you change the behaviors in which others expect of you, and also the way in which others treat you. If you dress like a slob, people are going to treat you like a slob, you act like a slob. If you dress well, you dress in fitted clothing. It doesn't have to be expensive, but if you're paying attention to the way in which you dress and present yourself to the world will naturally present that back to you in the form of relationships, the way in which you're treated, and the kind of the way in which people act towards you, right? And this is a very simple hack to get largely more of what you want in life is dress nicer and just try it for a day. Make more of an effort in the way that you dress and you'll naturally go and act in a way which is in line with that outfit. You'll be more confident, you'll be more outspoken, and people will treat you better. You go into a restaurant wearing something nice, or even you just go to the shop wearing something nice. You probably noticed it when you've worn a suit before or a nice dress. People treat you in a different way based on a way in which you are presenting yourself. Right, and I believe Napoleon Hill's got this amazing quote. It's changed the way in which you're perceived, and then the way in which people treat you will be different, and then you'll start to embody that. I can't remember his exact quote, but there's something along those lines. So change your fashion. That's an amazing way in which to accelerate your reality. So we've covered digital, physical, social, right? This is one of the most important things. I'd arguably say more important than this, and this is also very, very difficult for you to do. But this will, in turn, be the biggest change in life, which you endure. You are very much a product of your social environment. You probably heard the quote, birds of a feather flock together. And the same could be said, well, let me repeat myself. You probably heard of the phrase, birds of a feather flock together. And that's because the people who you're around and spend the most time with, you all start to embody in your thoughts, your behavior, your habits, the way in which you see the world, your belief systems, all of that will be constructed by the people around you. If the 5 closest people to you, and we've all heard this before, you are the sum of the closest 5 people that you spend the most time with. That's it, just take everything out, Josh. If those 5 people are all negative, they're lazy, they're slobs, and they don't care about anything in which they're doing, they have no goals, they have no focus in life, you are going to be that. You need to understand that. The more time you spend with negative people, the more negative you become. It's very hard to continue this positive outlook and have this sense of direction in your life when people around you aren't doing that. So with your friends, this isn't me saying cut people off, right? Because there's amazing people which you've got in your life, but they do act a certain way. But you have to start auditing those relationships. How is this person serving me, right? And this doesn't mean you're going to have to go away and cut everyone off. Just be conscious of the time in which you're spending with people and the effect that this is having on you. Are you leaving interactions drained? Are you leaving interactions a better, more charged up version of you with more ideas and more inspiration to go and attack the world? If not, limit that time you're spending with those people, right? Family, this is always a very, very interesting one. But if your family is not conducive to your goals, you don't have to cut your family off, but you certainly should stop exposing yourself to that extent to them. You know, if your family are negative, you're going to inherit those negative beliefs. All the beliefs in which you've got have been passed down by your family, right? If you grow up in poverty, you likely have a poor relationship with money. You likely have a scarce mindset. But if you grew up rich, there's a reason why they say, rich people get rich and richer and the poor get poorer. And that's because the rich grow up with an abundance attitude. They naturally take more risks. They have this different relationship to money, which poor people have. And this is, once again, not me saying cut your family off, but this is certainly me saying be cautious of how much time you are giving to them and in what conditions you're allowing that. Colleagues, right? If you work with 4 to 5 lazy people or an office of 10 lazy people that do the bare minimum, you will also do the bare minimum. If you work with people that are excited to get to work, of propelling themselves in their career and they're trying to succeed, you're going to do that as well. And you've probably done it before. You've been in an environment at work where everyone hates the company, everyone hates this, everyone hates this certain boss, and therefore you fit in. You also start hating that boss as well, despite the fact that you've actually never critically thought, why do I hate this individual? It's just because everyone else feels the same way. You know, and I've had this in jobs in which I've walked into where people have gone, oh yeah, we collectively hate this sort of person. And all of a sudden I find myself doing the same thing, but I've never even been exposed to that person, that group, or a structure or system. Right? It's the same with people in a country, right? Especially in the UK. I don't live in the UK anymore, but people that live in the UK collectively don't like the UK. Therefore, when you say, no, I actually like the UK, I like England, people almost look at you like you're fucking born yesterday. But it's just because you don't fit in, right? And therefore, the more time you spend in that certain group of people, right? And with these sort of people, you're going to start embodying their beliefs, whether you like it or not. So be cautious as to how you do that. And clients, right? If you run a business and your clients are shit and you have a negative relationship with your clients, I've had this in my experience, by the way, that's going to have a negative effect on you. Good clients, good people which you do business with are going to bring you more business. You're going to have a better relationship with them and you're going to start embodying your clients. If you are an active, enjoyable, and outgoing person, your clients are likely going to be that. But then if your clients aren't reciprocating that back, you're also going to start reciprocating that behavior. It's very, very interesting social dynamics. And spiritual, my favorite one. If you're in alignment, and this is why religious cultures have such a tight-knit community, especially I live in Dubai, there is a huge culture of Islam here. There's a reason why these people collect together, because it makes their faith stronger. Okay, and especially I'm a Christian man. The more time I spend with Christians, the far less likely I am to fall into sin. And that's because we're all bouncing off each other. We have a collective experience and collective view and way in which we take our values into the world, right? Therefore, if you're spending more time with people that are spiritually aligned with you, right? If you're a free spirit, right? You're a thinker. If you spend more time with free spirits, that's naturally going to be better and more coherent to the spiritual life in which you're trying to cultivate, right? If you spend time around stressed people who live in this fight or flight state all the time, you're going to start embodying that as well. You probably notice that when you're around stressed people, you naturally feel more stressed. But when you're around somebody who is naturally more stress-free, you know, they're more free-flowing with life, you start to embody that as well, okay? So spiritual is a massive thing. Be aligned with people with the same belief as you, you know. And the more in which you can cultivate every single one of these environments to be in line with the version of you in which you want to become, the faster you're going to get there. Because you will start immersing yourself in a way of being, in a thought process, in thought patterns that you previously weren't. So let's say, right, you're currently trying to get yourself in shape, but you can't get out the habit of drinking every weekend. If your social circle, right, is full of friends that get hammered every Friday, Saturday, and a drink on Sunday afternoon, you are going to do that, right? You are going to be falling into the habit of drinking too much, which is going to be the opposite of, which isn't going to work towards you getting to the body which you like, okay? We know that. And it's ridiculous to assume that you're going to have willpower and that I'm not going to drink this weekend. But if you're around 5 drinkers, I can guarantee you're going to have a drink. That's not me making you seem worse than what you are, because I'm the same. If I'm around drinkers, I naturally have a drink. But if you cultivate your social circle to be friends that enjoy activities that aren't about drinking, that are about getting out, going for a hike, getting out in nature, doing things that aren't involved around alcohol, you're far less likely to get involved in alcohol. That's why if you have that's why if you're in a relationship, right, and your partner doesn't like something, you're far less likely to do it, right? If you're with a partner that enjoys alcohol a lot, but you don't, you're going to drink more than if you're with a partner that doesn't. You have to orchestrate your social environments to be working in coherence with the goal in which you've set, right? If you want to go to a gym and train hard and build a nice amount of muscle and really work, right? Put yourself in a proper gym, right? If you want to become a high rocks athlete, go to a gym in which it's specialized towards people that do high rocks. Or if you want to be a CrossFit, go to a CrossFit gym. And therefore, you will be in physical environments and social environments that are working towards the goal in which you want to work towards. You will start to embody those habits. You will start to adopt the work habits and mentalities in which those people around you have, and you are going to get yourself to that version of you quicker. And then if you tag that with your digital environment working in coherence with that, again, you're going to be consuming information related to what you're interested in. You're going to be finding more out. And therefore, once again, it's going to accelerate you to where you want to get to. And then you align that with your spiritual environment as well. And you know, let's say your goal is, I want to lose weight and be a better version of myself. All of a sudden, you're working with people with that same belief system. Your social circle are also working towards that goals. Your gym, your physical environments are all conducive to that as well, and you're consuming information related to that. You are going to get there far faster than the person that is simply relying on willpower to get there. So to change your environments, change you, change where you put yourself, change the conversations which you're having. You change that, you will get there. And you will do it far, far quicker than just simply trying to bully your way through this world. Okay?